Hello dear students of class 6 English version. How are you all? I hope all of you are very well at home and safe, and I'm also fine. So today my lecture number 4 is going on. That is, I'm starting lecture number 4 for you, and in my last class we did what? We did mathematical expressions on algebra, and today I will start with arithmetics and the stage, and on this two part, that is on ratio and percentage, today I will discuss with you ratio, only on ratio. And on ratio today, in this class I will discuss with you the basic on ratio. Okay students, so let's start the class. Today students, our topics is ratio. No, so what is ratio? This is your question, that is, what is ratio? In simply we can say that ratio is nothing but a comparison. That is, on the board I have written one definition for you on ratio, that is ratio of two or more quantities of the same kind is nothing but comparison of the quantities to determine how many times or parts of a number is compared to other quantity. Okay dear student, now that is what, suppose that you have been said, that is two students of class 6, suppose that Sanjak's Hafiz height is 150 centimeters. I am writing over here, and suppose that Pushon's height is 140 centimeters. So if I will say to you to compare between Sanjak and Pushon, what will you do? You will do what? You will make difference of them, and the difference is 10 centimeter. So you can easily find out the difference between their height, that is, you make compare. But if you have been said, suppose that 2 square you have given, suppose that this is 2 meter and this is 2 meter, another one height is, another one square is given over here, that is, this is 3 meters and this is 3 meters. If you have been said to make compare between these two square, what will you do? You can't make directly difference between these two square. So that's why if you have been said to make compare between these two square, what you will do? Maybe you will do what? That is, you have to find out the area of this square and area of this square also, and in these two square, the areas of two square, by finding how many times smaller or greater than one square to the another ones. By this way you can find, you can make the compare between these two square. So students, this is, so students, in ratio the definition is what? Ratio of two or more quantities of the same kind is nothing but comparisons of the quantities to determine how many times or parts of a number is compared to other quantity. Now students, as example, suppose that I have showed to you two example already, and another one example is written over here, that is how we can write the ratio, that is 4:4:9. In shortly we can say is to, that is 4:9. We can write the this ratio in fraction, that is 4/9. So here is written that on the board, that is, this is the symbol of the mathematical symbol of the ratio. Okay students, and I have given three notes over here. One note is what? Ratio of two numbers is a fractions. It has been written over here. You are seeing this is one kind of fraction. So ratio can be expressed as a fractions. This is one kind of note for you. Second note is this: to compare two objects should be of the same kind. So what is this students? I am giving one example to you, that is, it has been said to compare two objects should be the same kind. That is, suppose that height of 50 centimeter and height of 40 centimeter. That is, both are the same kind. That is, to compare or to make ratio, the two or more quantities should be the same kind. Okay, let's start. Let's give another one example to you. Suppose that one student's age is 6 years or 16 years, whatever. Sorry, let me give the more smaller number, that is 13 years, and another one student's age is 13 years 3 months. Can you make difference between these two age? No, because they are the same kind, but they are not in same unit. Yes, students, this is the point. In note number 2, that is in observation 2, here is written this: to compare two objects should be the same kind. They are the same kind. They are also be the same kind. So for this note can be applied, but for this one, this note cannot be applied. That's why it has given to compare the two objects should be of the same unit. That is, look over here in my example. Here is year and year and years and months. So they are not in same unit. You should to compare between these two students' age, you should convert it years to month or months to year. That is, if this age in year, this age also should be in year, or if you convert it to in months, this year and months converted into be month. Okay, dear students, now clear these three observation, that is three notes you have given in ratio. Okay, another one important point you have been said. This is what in ratio. Look over here. In ratio, here is two part. Again, I am writing students for you. That is 4:9. Whatever ratio can be in any measurement, no problem. Suppose I have written 4:9. That is, here is two part. One is first, another one is next. So in this first, in ratio, this part's name is antecedent, and this ratio, this part's name is subsequent. Okay, students, mind it properly. The parts, two parts in the ratio, in simple ratio, there is two parts. That is, one is antecedent and another one is subsequent ratio. Okay, students. Okay, dear students. Now we will discuss about the different ratios. That is, in different ratios, my first ratio is equivalent ratio. You are seeing on the board, that is, what is equivalent? Discuss with you about the definition, then I will make example for you. Okay, that is, equivalent ratio is what? The definition is the value of a ratio remains unchanged. Be careful, students. Here is one noting point, that is unchanged, when its antecedent and subsequents are multiplied or divided by any number except 0. This is another one pointing part. That is what? The value of a ratio remains unchanged when its antecedent and subsequents are multiplied or divided by any number except 0. Such ratio are called the equivalent ratio. Example, that suppose that 4:5, one ratio. That is, we can make it as a fractions, and this is the antecedent and this is the subsequent. If we will multiply it to antecedent by 2 and multiplied 5 by 2, that is, it's make 8/10. This ratio is equivalent this ratio, that is 8:10. That means what? If I will make it again simplified, I will get 4:5. How? This ratio makes 8/10, that is reduces, that is in definition it has been said if divided. Look at the board students, if divided. At first we multiplied by 2 antecedent and 2 subsequent. Then we get the another one ratio. That ratio is equivalent to the before ratio, that is given ratio. And if we will make divide by the same number, that is divide by the 2, then we will get the before ratio, that is given ratio, that means equivalent ratio. Clear students? That's why you can make different example. Just I multiplied by 2, it can be divided by lots of number, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, that is unlimited. Equivalent ratio can be made. Okay student, that is 2 observation has given on this equivalent ratio. One is the ratio can be simplified if the terms of the ratio are divided by ACF. Look at the observation students, that is ratio can be simplified. That is, suppose that 8/10, if we will simplify this one, we get 4/5. That is, what did I do? That is divided by the ACF. Same thing, that is I divided by this ACF, that is 8 and 10 divided by 2, that is 2 is the ACF of 8 and 10. You know the ACF is what? Highest common factor. You better know it. Okay students, this is the first observation for you. And the second observation is what? Each part of the ratio can be found if they are divided by the sum of the antecedent and subsequent. What is this? This is what? Each part of the ratio can be found. See, that is part you can find out of the ratio. Suppose that one questions you have given, that is the sum of two number. You have given the sum of two number. Look student, two number is 630 and the ratio is given that 10:11. Now you have been said ratio, this is the ratio. You have been said that is what is the number, what is these two numbers, that is the sum of two number you have been said, but you don't know the two numbers. What are the two numbers? So to find out that two numbers, what you will do? You will do the sum of the ratio, that is 10 plus 11 become 21. And in observation it has been said each part of the ratio can be found if they are divided by the sum of the antecedent. Divided, that is you will divide it by the antecedent, the sum of the antecedent and the subsequent. That is 630 is divided by 21 multiplied by that is not this way, that is multiplied by 10 if you will find out the first number. And another one how you will get, that is 21 multiplied by 11. By this way you will get the two number. That observations you have given over here, each part of the ratio can be found if they are divided by the sum of the antecedents and the subsequent of the ratio. Clear students? Now we know what is equivalent ratio. Now is simple ratio. Okay students, simple ratio. That is, what is simple ratio? The ratio of two quantities is called simple ratio. That is, suppose that two quantities 2:3 is a simple ratio, or 4:5, this is also the simple ratio, because in this ratio there is only two quantities, not more than two quantities. That's why this kind of ratio is called simple ratio. Okay, then next one is next ratio is ratio of less inequality. So what are the ratio of what is the ratio of less inequality? This is if the antecedent, you know, in ratio which part is the antecedent, The first part is the antecedent and the second part is subsequent. So if the antecedent is smaller than the subsequent of a simple ratio, that is, it must be in simple ratio. The ratio is called the ratio of less inequality. That is what? In a ratio, this is a simple ratio, and in this simple ratio you are seeing that the antecedent is smaller than the subsequent. Antecedent is smaller than the subsequent. That's why this kind of ratio is simple ratio, and in simple ratio this is the ratio of less inequality. And my next topic parts is ratio of greater inequality. That is what? The before ones is what? Smaller, the antecedent is smaller than the subsequent, but in ratio of greater inequalities there is antecedent is greater than the subsequent then of a simple ratio. That's why this also is a ratio of greater inequalities. Okay students, now you clear what is simple ratio, what is ratio of less inequality, and what is ratio of greater inequality. That is, by seeing a ratio you can easily find out the ratio of less inequality and ratio of greater inequality. Okay dear students, so next one is unit ratio. In unit ratio, what is unit ratio? That is the ratio in which the antecedent and subsequent are equal is called unit ratio. That means, suppose that one student went to the market, he bought one book for 20 taka and he bought one pen for 20 taka. So the ratio of the price of the book is 20 book, and the pen or pencil whatever he bought, the ratio is 20:20, that is 1:1. This is called the unit ratio. Clear students? Next one is inverse ratio. By listening this sound, that is inverse, I hope you make clear this. What is means inverse? You know better. That is the ratio formed by interchanging the antecedent and subsequent of a simple ratio. That is, point it students. That is, it should be simple ratio and is called the inverse ratio. That is 5/6 or 5/13 as 5:13. That is 5:13 is the inverse ratio of 13:5. Clear students? So this is the inverse, that is interchange their place. That is subsequent becomes in antecedent's place and antecedents went to subsequent place. That is, the next one is mixed or compound ratio. What is mixed or compound ratio? In definition, it has been said that is the ratio obtained by whose antecedent and subsequent are formed by the products of antecedents and subsequents of more than one simple ratio. That is, more than one simple ratio. The product, this is the pointing part, pointing sense, that is, you have to product. What you have to product? The antecedents and the subsequents of more than one simple ratio. Suppose that you have given ratio is 3:5, another one ratio has given 5:7. Suppose that another one ratio, simple ratio, has given 7:8, like this. 3 simple ratio you have given. You have been said to find out the mixed or compound ratio of this. Product the antecedent, that is 3 multiplied 5 multiplied 7. These 3 are the antecedent of this 3 simple ratio. Is ratio to subsequent of this 3 simple ratio is 5, 7, 8. So 5, multiplied by 7 multiplied by 8. By this way, you will get the mixed or compound ratio. That is, finally answer is what? 3 5s are 15 or 21, 105. Ratio is 5 8s are 40, 280. This is the mixed or compound ratio of the given three simple ratio. Okay students, I hope that you make clear that all basic of this ratio. That is, at first let's summarize what did I learn today. At first we learned what is ratio, then we learned some observations of the ratio, then we learned the difference ratio, suppose that equivalent ratio, that is simple ratio, and then we learn ratio of the less inequality, ratio of the greater inequality, then unit ratio, then inverse ratio, and finally we learn the mixed or compound ratio. So dear students, these all basic you have given in ratio to do completely to make clear the ratios, all exercise maths. That is, I think that this is very important class for you. Please practice it more and more times at home and learn the all definitions and try to make some example on yourself. And then in my next class I will start the chapter that is on exercise. Okay students, please learn the all definitions whatever I have given on today, and on this all definitions some short question, that is multiple choose you have to give answer. So please dear student, don't waste the time, practice it home, and in my next class I will start on this chapter. Up to that time, be well, keep at home and be safe also. Thank you.